Hi, it's Norman Kochnick here. Tuesday, the 21st of February 2023, a couple of days after the test match, the second test between India and Australia in Delhi. Of course, the Delhi debacle, as it's been called. I've got the papers from today, Tuesday. I've got three, in fact. You can see the Daily Telegraph, the Sydney Morning Herald, and the Australian. Those three papers are the three that basically circulate around Australia in some format, depending on what state you're in. We've got the Australian there today. Again, this is a lot about the game, a lot of the backwash there, but with the game, we've got an article from Gideon Haigh saying, India's world, we live in it. We're going to play by those rules, I imagine. Gideon Haigh dissects the meaning of tour debacle. So that's very interesting. That was evidence today in the paper there, you can see. This is in the Australian. So the Australian centred on the whole issue of the team, and we're actually going into some more depth. We're actually also talking about the fact that there's fears about Warner with his hairline fracture of the elbow, and obviously Josh Hazlewood has also exited. They're both left. Well, at least Josh Hazlewood's definitely gone home. Warner's there being assessed, but he probably will go home as well. And the article there talks about Gideon Haigh yet again, summing up the way that Australia looks at the moment. He says, we're from Australia is now from a powerhouse country in cricket to now little more than a plaything, which is a horribly downplayed scenario. And it really is. He talks about an actual novel in Aravind Adiga's novel of Indian cricket, Selection Day. The conniving Anand Mehta identifies one extra force beyond his intrigues. Australia is the reality principle in cricket, and he says the father of a young prodigy, but the fact remains that now Australia are no more than a plaything. It really is quite a damaging scenario indeed. We see a whole lot more about that, and really we're in for some very interesting days ahead with the Australian team, with selection with Hazlewood and the like. Of course, he's not going to be there. In the Sydney Morning Herald, we have again that forlorn-looking photograph of Pat Cummins and his troops, and it says there that Cummins is heading home as tour troubles mount. Now, he's heading home as well, but not for the purposes of an injury. He has a family matter that's unfolding, and he needs to be there for that, but looks like he'll be back for the third test in time, but under some clouded situation, of course. Hazlewood's gone back. Warner will eventually go back. The only positive light I've got is Maxwell. Glenn Maxwell is playing Sheffield Shield cricket again for Victoria after some 1,200 days of not playing for the Sheffield Shield side. That is his state. It says here the Australian captains will return to Sydney due to a family illness, while David Warner is touch and go for the third test. He's more go than touch, with coach Andrew McDonald contemplating further team changes following the disaster in Delhi. So it's just one comment after the other about the disaster. Daniel Brettig writes an article which is very interesting. CA must wear some of the blame for the Delhi debacle. So he's claiming that Cricket Australia should wear some of the blame. And he's saying, as Australia put the broom through themselves in Delhi, England were celebrating the latest in an inspired run of victories, this time wiping out the floor with New Zealand. So basically, we're looking at a situation where Cricket Australia is probably looking at a lot more of an issue there as well. Andrew McDonald says, and I've got these videos on my link, and he talks there about really good preparation, McDonald defensive tour plan. So he reckons they're well prepared, but it just didn't happen yet. So they're very interesting indeed. And of course, the family illness matter I've already talked about. Yeah, so the Sydney Morning Herald, very learned paper indeed. Then the more everyday paper of the Daily Telegraph tries to lighten the mood and shows a picture of Dave Warner there with one of his daughters. And the headline there is, Warner set to miss rest of series, which we're already aware of. Hazlewood home and Cummins in Sydney temporarily. So the other issue, okay, so the positive is Glenn Maxwell. Certainly Glenn Maxwell's one positive. Another positive, well, at least for Steve Smith, is his American dream might be unfolding there. Smith eyes US T20 league stint and his future part of his career. So he's already looking at his next stage, well and truly. And that's what the article pans out. So there we have it. Oh, hang on, I've missed out on this particular article. Aussies down, stars out. So Aussie down, stars out. And what they're referring to there, of course, is really, they're down and out, of course, but they're also, the stars are out. Well, Hazelwood's back home. Obviously, Cummins temporarily. We've got Warner and the problems as well. Back again. There it is. The last statement that I want to read from the so-called Daily Telegraph is the comment below. India is only going to get harder. That to me says it all. India is only going to get harder. That to me says it all. India is only going to get harder.